Hey everybody, it's Master Galengeist here, bringing you my review of the latest episode of Game of Thrones, The Door. Now, a lot of stuff happened in this episode. We learned a lot of information, and I'm really liking how this season is going with how things are being revealed and kind of how fast it's kind of moving to a degree, because some seasons and some episodes feel like it kind of goes a little bit slower than you would like, and this season's really ramping that up. So, we began the episode at the wall with Sansa getting a letter from Baelish to meet him in Molestown. And I really liked the confrontation they both had because we learned more of what Ramsay did to Sansa on their wedding night, and that Baelish, for once, didn't really understand the depth of what Ramsay was. He might have had an idea, but otherwise I don't think he would have let Sansa go as easily as he did. He's still playing the game because Sansa's like, tell me why I shouldn't let Brienne kill you right now. And he really didn't have much of a thing. He's like, I'll do anything to try and help you. And he's like, gives her the information that her uncle, Brynden the Blackfish, who we haven't seen since the Red Wedding, has actually brought forth the Tully forces and retaken Riverrun. So that's an important piece of information because that's another house that can help Sansa and Jon retake the North from the Boltons. That's really good forces. And Peter pretty much leaves her and still plants the seeds of doubt in her mind that Jon's her half-brother, not her full brother, which she's always wrestled with and is kind of unfair to Jon. It's like, come on, your brother and sister, let that stuff kind of go. So then we go to Arya continuing her training, and that was pretty interesting, but I still think from what we're seeing that Arya will gain skills from the people with no face, because I don't think she can truly let go of herself and become what they want her to become. And it's what I like about her character. She needs these skills, but I don't think she's going to be there forever because she's fighting the Waif character, and it's funny, she was doing better blind than when she had her vision back, but that's because she's kind of got that cockiness, that arrogance that kind of like permeates the Starks to a degree that usually is tempered with age. And we get more history on the Faceless Men's history. And it was really interesting because even though it's Jaqen H'ghar, and we know it's not really Jaqen H'ghar, and that it's one of the many men with no faces telling that it began in Valyrian, that like slaves had pretty much revolted, and this one slave got the power to change his face so that he had no face. And he was able to give this gift to other people, and he learned it from the many-faced god. And that's interesting because it enters another kind of magical system into the effect of like the red priests and priestesses, the White Walkers, the children of the forest, and now this, and kind of where that comes from. We might get that information, we might not, but I think it's going to be kind of important. And then she's kind of sent on her second chance mission to kill this lead actress in this play, which it kind of got a little bit meta, which was interesting because it was a play affecting essentially the first season of Game of Thrones, of Robert Baratheon's death, of all the stuff that went around with Ned Stark and Tyrion and all that. And you could see it was affecting Arya a lot. And I think that was picked on purpose to kind of test her devotion to the men with no faces and see if she could actually go through and do this. And it was really interesting because you could see all the emotion going on in her face, and she still went in, figured out what was going on with the acting troupe, kind of seeing tells and everything that she could help in her mission to kill her. And she reports all this stuff back to Jaqen H'ghar, and she's like, well, I could slip the poison in her rum because she's the only one who drinks it, so no big deal. Maybe I could use the face. And he's like, you're not ready for that. And he's like, the price isn't paid, we gotta do it. And she's like, she seems like a decent person. It's like, if you choose to serve the many-faced God and do this, servants don't ask questions. And I think that Arya is not going to be able to do that, and I hope she doesn't do that because then they just sound like money people to me. They hide behind this mysticism that they've got, saying that they're serving death, the many-faced God, and doing what needs to be done, but then they do these things that make them seem like guns for hire. So we'll have to see what's going on with that. I'm really interested in seeing what's going on with that. And then we went to Pike, and we got to see the King's Moot, and that was pretty dang cool. Because we got to see more inner workings of the Ironborn, kind of how their system works. Because they don't traditionally, it's not like a line of succession. Once a king dies, they have a king's moot to see who's going to be the next leader. And they kind of put forth their names. Whoever's got the biggest support does it. And it was pretty cool to see Yara state her case, and it's like, this would be the best choice. I mean, she's been here for a while. She knows how to do things. Theon's thrown her support behind her, and then in comes Euron Greyjoy, just saying all these, pretty much telling people what they want to hear. We're going to make you great by pretty much marrying myself to Daenerys Targaryen, getting some dragons, and conquering Westeros. It's like, you need to do a lot more stuff than just that. I mean, go the sensible route, become a naval powerhouse. Then you can do trade and stuff like that. And I mean, you could still be a naval kind of mercenary force at that point. You know, I mean, you'd have the seas taken. And then Yara and Theon pretty much see what's going on right off the bat. So while they essentially drown their king to make sure that he's one with the drowned god and then can come back, which, by the way, could lead to some reasons why they don't think so clearly as they get older. But right as he comes out of it, he's like, "Where are my niece and nephew?" And it's like, they knew what was going on. They knew he was probably going to kill him, and they stole all the good ships. He's like, "All right, everybody, get to work. Build me 1,000 ships." I'm like, it's going to take a while. That's going to take a while. But it was really kind of cool to see that kind of stuff, and we're finally caught up with that, because that had happened a while ago in the books, and it needed to be done. It's pretty cool to see what's going on with that. So then we go to seeing what's going on with Dany and Daario and Jorah, and that was alright, that was okay. I really liked kind of the reconciliation that they had between Dany and Jorah, and he's like, well, I got grayscale and stuff, so I'll take care of myself before it gets to that. And then she's like, no, you're gonna find yourself a cure, then you're gonna come back here. And it's like, yay, because she keeps banishing him, and then he keeps coming back, and it's like, okay, come on, he wants to help you, and you really need a Westerosi advisor. I mean, you're building up a nice cadre, but I mean, all the help you can get. Okay. And Daario's kind of just in the background, not really doing anything. Then she's like leading the Khalasar out of Vaestall Thrak, and Jorah goes off, and we'll see kind of where his adventures take him. So that's going to be cool. So then we get to Tyrion, and we get an update on Rain. It seems that his plan worked. That there have been no more attacks by the Sons of the Harpies, and actually only 2 Masters have been killed, and that was the day they made the pact. But other than that, everything's peaceful. But he's like, we need to show the city that it was because of the Queen that this had happened. And that's an important thing. Otherwise, they're just thinking, we've done this ourselves, or it's because they made peace with the slave masters, so take them out and all that. It's like, we need to show them that it's Dany that's the one behind this, that it's given them the security that no more people are dying. And that's why Tyrion's always going to be more pragmatic, on my opinion. It was really good to see that he was able to get this point across. They need to get that out there. But then he kind of did it by finding the Red Priestess that we'd seen earlier, Kinvara. And he wants her to kind of spread the word. And it kind of gives me, reminds me of Cersei lining herself with High Sparrow. It seemed like a good idea at the time, but we'll have to see what goes on. And this is really important, this Kinvara Red Priestess, because you look at her, she's got the same necklace that Melisandre has. I mean, we don't know about the stone and all that, or powers, but it's the same necklace. I'm thinking that it's like, maybe a kind of coven or something, and if that's the case, this one seems to be more of a higher Red Priestess than Melisandre. And it's kind of funny, because she's saying that Dany is the one who's been promised, and we had Melisandre saying it was Stannis, and now it's Jon. So there's not a lot of cohesion at the moment with what this Red Priesthood thinks is going to be the prince that was promised, or the kind of savior Azor Ahai has been promised. And that's definitely important, because it's backing the wrong horse or not getting it exactly right could lead to disastrous consequences. But I like how she said that, oh yeah, I'm behind it. She's got dragons that are fire-made flesh. She survived fire. Yeah, we're good. Yeah. And Varys is like, well, I knew a Red Priestess who backed Stannis. He got his ass whooped by this dude, and then he got his ass whooped in Winterfell. And then she starts talking about how he became a unit and what he heard, and no other people really can know that. That's usually between him, the sorcerer, and Tyrion, because Tyrion was there when he got his revenge on the sorcerer. That means she's either got really good eyes and ears, or she's got even better kind of stuff than Melisandre does to kind of get that. So that's really important to kind of show that Varys is good. He's got his skeptical stuff, but he's got someone else out there who's just as good and just as dangerous. So Tyrion and Varys have to be very careful with her, I think, and very careful to see where she goes with that. So then we get to Bran and his visions, and we got to see what was going on. We learned that the Children of the Forest, they were the ones that created the White Walkers to fight the humans, the men that had come, because they were in the war and they weren't doing very well. And that is huge. That means they somehow lost control of them. They've got some kind of magic that is similar to the Children of the Forest. And the Children of the Forest are trying to kind of atone for their mistake. It was either get wiped out by one, but now it's like get wiped out by the other. You made something and lost control of it. It's ratcheting up that kind of stuff. It's really kind of interesting, and I'm glad they kind of did that. And I think that the one that was in the vision, the first White Walker, I'm going to assume, is the Night's King. The one that's walking around. He looked very similar. It's mainly the makeup and everything that's kind of throwing me off, but I'm pretty sure it's the same dude. And it was interesting that they used obsidian to make them into the White Walkers, and that's kind of what kills them and everything. So we also get back to Bran doing his vision, and he was like, I'm going to do this myself. And that learned the consequences, that he pretty much got spotted by the White Walkers and the Night's King touched him, which shows that anything that can really happen in that vision, in his warging and all that green scene, he better watch out, because the Three-Eyed Raven's like, he touched you. He knows he's broken through the magic, which then led to an incredible scene of the children getting ready for the inevitable invasion that's going to happen. And then we get to see Jon and Sansa kind of getting ready to leave. Brienne was talking to Sansa about not telling the people exactly where she got the information about her uncle, and I'm glad that she's doing that. And letting on to Sansa that wildling dude is weird, but like Tormund just keeps giving her the how you doing look, and it's really freaking amazing. So they get ready. Sansa gives this good gesture to Jon. Cloak similar to the one that Ned Stark wore. And I just find it that she always does these things where she kind of messes up with someone and then tries to make up for it. But it's like, either decide that he's your half-brother or your brother. I mean, just trust him. I mean, if you want to take control, but lay those things out clear. Because most likely you're going to be able to fool people by Jon more than you. Because she can be a powerful character if she so chooses. And I like that because she's showing more backbone and everything, but she still has the kind of character flaws that have led her to bad situations. And if she keeps making these kind of judgment calls that I don't think are really that good, it could lead to unintended consequences. So we'll kind of have to see how she goes. I'm hoping for her to get even stronger because I love the backbone she showed to Baelish. He's like, I've got this. And I'm like, okay, yeah, you can bring the North together, but you've got to do it in the right way. It's like and her naivete to think that the Karstarks would come with her, but Davos pretty much shot that down saying, your brother killed their father. You're going to have trouble with him. So Jon and Sansa left to pretty much do the northern tour while Brienne was sent off to get her uncle Brendan from the river run and everything. And then we get to the pretty much coup de grace. The White Walkers are pretty much invading where Bran and the Three-Eyed Raven are, and the Three-Eyed Raven's like, alright, well, I pretty much gotta make you me. So I think he like info dumped stuff into Bran or something. There was something to that where he took him into the Green Vision and was doing something. I don't think that's the last we're going to see of him exactly, because he's doing his stuff and he does die in this episode. The Night's King kills him, but that's more, it's kind of weird how it happens. There's a lot of interspersed. We're going from the Green Dream to the White Walkers coming in, and they pretty much hammered the place with whites and everything. And Meera awesomely was able to kill one of the other White Walkers that had come. That was the Night's King and 3 other ones. So we don't know the exact forces of the White Walkers, but it'll be interesting to kind of see how that goes on later. And everybody's kind of fighting. The children of the Forest are dying off, trying to hold everything off, and Bran was able to warg into Hodor while in the Green Dream. So he's using him to pretty much carry him. Meera's kind of like holding him back. We lost Summer as well because he held off the whites for long enough for them to get into the hall. And then, of course, after he died, the Night's King came in and killed the Three-Eyed Raven. Pretty much, at least the last one that we knew, the one that we personally been interacting with throughout the season, the Child of the Forest, killed herself to make sure everything was going, they were going to be able to escape. So then they get to this door, and Hodor's able to open the door and the one holding it back. And then we actually learn why Hodor, or Wireless says Hodor. Because while Bran is in the dream, he has warped into present Hodor. And he's looking at past Hodor. So I think there's some lead-off effect because you can affect stuff in the Green Dream, which is kind of like past and present. Because at that point, we figured out that Hodor kind of got war bleed through, I think. And you saw his eyes go like that, and he starts rolling on the ground and saying, hold the door, because Bran's probably thinking to Hodor, hold the door for us. And Meera's shouting it, so it's getting the bleed through. And he's like, hold the door, and then that just keeps going on and on until it becomes Hodor, the only thing he can say. So it kind of like takes his brain and makes it more susceptible to warging, in my opinion. Kind of like seizure-esque into what happened, and then Hodor dies holding the door. Well, let's assume that he's died because all the whites are all around and it cuts to black, but I'm pretty sure he's dead. And we've had a lot of stuff going on with that. And it was really cool to kind of get that interaction, but that opens up a whole lot of possibilities because Bran can then affect the past. We don't know to what complete extent, because this is more of a loop that can happen that's contained to one person. Who knows what happens if he can change like other things in the past? That is going to be key to his fight against the White Walkers, I think, and also with like the whole overall tone of the Song of Ice and Fire. This is going to be very, very important, and it'll be interesting to see what it happens with throughout the rest of the season. So, that's my opinion of the episode. Tell me what you guys think in the comments below. If you liked it, if you didn't like it, if you agree with me, if you disagree with me. Also, like and subscribe, and I hope you have a good day.